fourth episode of Season 8 of Game of Thrones, titled The Last of the Starks, was a change of pace after last week's devastating Battle of Winterfell, but it had its fair share of drama. We finally headed back to King's Landing to see what Cersei and Euron were up to. Now that Arya had killed the Night King, the battle for the Iron Throne could really begin. Here are 14 details you might have missed. And warning, spoilers are coming. Each week during Season 8, there have been small adjustments made to the sprawling opening credits. We now see a new, damaged Winterfell. The insides of the castle are in shambles as bodies burn outside the castle walls. As the survivors celebrate and drink, Tyrion, Podrick, Brienne, and Jaime play a drinking game. It's the same drinking game we've seen several times throughout the show, first in Season 1 with Shae and Bronn, and another time he tries and fails to play it with Grey Worm and Missandei.
Anyone not drinking is disrespecting our queen.
If you look closely, you can see Game of Thrones creators D.B. Weiss and David Benioff in the banquet hall. You can spot them as Tormund gives his big speech about Jon. Meanwhile, Arya doesn't join the others in the banquet hall. She's shooting arrows by herself. Gendry finds her and proposes, asking her to be the Lady of Storm's End, not long after Daenerys declared him Lord of Storm's End. She says no and tells him, "I don't want to be a lady. And I'm not a lady. I never have been. That's not me." This is a callback to multiple moments in the show. The first is from Season 1, Episode 4, Cripples, Bastards, and Broken Things, when Ned talks to her about her future as a lady, and she says,
"That's not me."
There's another callback to this in Season 7, Episode 2, Stormborn, when Arya tries to get Nymeria to come back to Winterfell with her. When Nymeria walks away, Arya realizes her direwolf was meant to roam free, and she says,
"That's not you."
Bran tells Tyrion that his wheelchair is the same one that Daeron Targaryen built for his nephew 120 years ago. Daeron was the eldest son of King Aegon III. In the books, Jon Snow mentions Daeron as a sort of historical hero of his. Bronn tells Tyrion, "I've been shoveling Lannister shit, and what do I have to show?" Tyrion starts to respond, "Power resides where men believe," before being cut off. This is a callback to Season 2, Episode 3, What is Dead May Never Die. Varys says these exact words to Tyrion.
Power resides where men believe it resides. It's a trick, a shadow on the wall.
Arya and the Hound are riding on horseback to King's Landing. The Hound says, "I have business left to be done." He's likely referring to killing his brother, the Mountain.
You know who's coming for you. You've always known.
Which could mean that fans might see the highly anticipated Clegane Ball very soon. Arya says, "So do I," a reference to her kill list, on which there are technically just two names left, the Mountain and Cersei. Daenerys' fleet is taken by surprise when Euron and the Golden Company shot down Rhaegal. There were hints throughout the episode that the dragons were weak. If you look closely, you can see that Rhaegal's wings are full of holes. Both Viserion and Rhaegal were brought down in similar ways, one by spear and one by arrow. Euron uses a giant crossbow called the Scorpion, which was invented by Qyburn. It was last seen in the Season 7 episode The Spoils of War during the loot train attack. Bronn uses one against Drogon. He hits but fails to kill him. This episode also saw the death of Missandei with her shocking beheading. Before Missandei dies, Cersei asks her if she has any last words. She chooses Dracarys, the same words Daenerys says to her dragons before they breathe fire. This is just one of the many clues throughout the episode that Daenerys is going mad like her father, King Aerys II. During the banquet, Tormund teases Jon and says, "What kind of person climbs on a f***ing dragon?" A madman, as Daenerys listens in the background. Varys says he worries about her mental state. And now Missandei is telling her to burn them all, just like Aerys did. Daenerys says it's her job to bring down all tyrants, and in this case, Bringing down a tyrant might involve destroying an entire city. Cersei gives the order for Missandei's execution, but the Mountain swings the sword. In the pilot episode, Ned Stark says,
The man who passes the sentence should swing the sword.
this is not something the Lannisters do. Joffrey gives the order to someone else for Ned's head. And speaking of Ned Stark, in the first season, Cersei tells Ned,
When you play the Game of Thrones, you win, or you die.
this explains why Cersei refuses to surrender. For her, she either takes the throne or loses her life. During this episode, both Daenerys and Cersei are seen in their full house garb. Daenerys was wearing full Targaryen red at the celebratory feast, a nod to her leaning into the house words of fire and blood. In the final scene of this episode, she's wearing red and white. Cersei is also in full red for the episode. Just as Daenerys is embracing her Targaryen nature, Cersei is back to full Lannister strength, lion necklace and all. And not all Easter eggs are intentional. Someone seems to have left a coffee cup on the table in the feast scene. Is there anything we missed? Let us know in the comments.